Tesla is an incredibly problematic company to like right now, like listening to Kanye. But what if I told you I found an alternative from a source you probably wouldn't expect? This car has been the biggest surprise of the year. I wasn't expecting to like this car as much as I do. And if you're in the market for a Tesla Model Y, but you don't want all the baggage, have you considered a Cadillac? Now, Cadillac seems like the last company that would be an alternative to Tesla. Historically, the buyers are about as different as oil and water as IKEA and American Furniture Warehouse, if you understand that reference. But Cadillac has been making moves. They've been paying attention. They've been taking notes, and they've been evolving in ways I just simply wasn't expecting. And this new Optic offers nearly as many features as a Tesla, in some cases more, nearly as good integration, and in some cases better value, and once again, without all the Elon baggage. So let's talk about it. Now, the Optic is the smallest electric Cadillac crossover, and Cadillac's been going crazy with electric crossovers over the last couple of years. It started with the Lyriq, then the Escalade IQ, then the Optic, and now there's a Vistic. And they all end in IQ, so this is OPT IQ. Now, from a design standpoint, I think the Optic is a pretty attractive vehicle. This is based on the small Chevrolet Equinox EV platform. It rides on a 116-inch wheelbase, but the design is incredibly different than the Equinox. Remember the 80s? Remember the Cimarron? I hope you don't, but the Cadillac Cimarron was essentially just a rebadged Chevrolet Cavalier with a little bit more leather and velour on the inside, but that is not Cadillac of today. While this may share some similarities with the Equinox EV, it's actually a very different experience both outside and inside. Now, Optic comes in two primary flavors. There's the luxury trims and there's the sport trims. This one is one of the sport trims, and this is the one to go for. It's got a blacked out kind of two-tone appearance, which I think looks pretty cool. And the front end treatment is actually moving the needle in some ways. So we've got these interesting daytime running lights that kind of cascade down the front end of the car. And then the grille has these little animated expressions. These lower pixels illuminate to give it a pretty distinct look, as does the badge. And then this sport trim in this bright orange really contrasts nicely against the black lower front fascia. As we come along the side, we're gonna find this gunmetal gray wheel finish. And this is a pretty attractive wheel, a big tire wrapped around a fairly large wheel design. So this is a 21-inch wheel, which is kind of unusual for this class, and especially the price point, which we're gonna talk about at the end. Charging port located here on the left front fender. It is a motorized port. You got your little button here to open and close it. Sorry, Cole, I just closed it on the camera. And then as we make our way along the side, we've got these funky door handles, which are somewhat reminiscent of something like Model 3, Model Y. They do extend outward when the car is unlocked. And then when you're driving down the road or when you lock it, they are going to retract inside to give you that flush body appearance. And then this is my favorite aspect of the design of this car. You've got these racing streaks down the rear quarter window here that extends into the taillight, which is kind of cohesive with Lyriq and Escalade. The taillight's this vertical piece that starts up here and then kind of once again waterfalls to the back of the car. You've got Optic along the back, and then 500 E4, which is badging that literally nobody understands. I think this stands for the torque rounded in Newton meters, electric and all-wheel drive. But this is kind of silly because currently the Optic is only available in one battery and one powertrain configuration, an 85 kilowatt hour battery mated to an all-wheel drive dual motor drivetrain. Now that drivetrain will deliver 302 miles of range. So the era where GM cars were more affordable than Tesla but way down on range is gone. Now, of course, Model Y is going to have on paper slightly better EPA range, but 302 miles is more than adequate, especially when you consider you can get the Optic with a very impressive 19 kilowatt AC charger, which means you can deliver a tremendous amount of juice at home if your house has the capability. The one area where they're still down compared to Tesla, DC charging time. So a lot of the latest GM products have gone to an 800 volt architecture. The Optic is still on a 400 volt, and the peak DC charge time, or charge rate, excuse me, is only 150 kilowatts. And when Tesla's doing well over 200, same with Hyundai, same with most of the competition, that's a little bit disappointing. But look, the reality is, a lot of folks in the market for this car are going to be using it as a daily commuter with the occasional long distance trip. And if you have home charging, especially if you can maximize that available 19 kilowatt onboard charger, you're going to be doing pretty good with the charge rates. Now let's talk about performance. 300 horsepower, 354 pound-feet of torque. Now I'm still under a driving embargo. I can't quite tell you how this car drives, but that should be more than adequate to get you down the road, keep up with traffic, that kind of thing. Now let's check out the interior. Let's see if the interior has what it takes to go head on with the updated Model Y. Now the first thing you're going to notice, and I do have to give Cadillac a lot of credit to this, there's a tremendous amount of color on this interior. So if you look at the door panel, look at the bright blue. That's a pretty distinctive look. Now the bright blue and the bright orange, it's given a little Broncos, if I'm being honest with you, but I really appreciate Cadillac's going for a unique material, color design, and choices. And they have a lot of recycled material. So this right here, this is a recycled polyester yarn. You're going to find it across the dash, along with the uppers, and you're going to find it on the door uppers as well. Now, the first thing which strikes me stepping into this car is they've taken a lot of inspiration from Tesla in a lot of important ways. Just like this passive entry and start. I got in, I closed the door, put my foot on the brake, and then go right into gear. This car is ready to go. None of having to fiddle with on buttons and start buttons and trying to get that all engaged. I just hop in, put my foot on the brake, and I'm off to the races. So that's good, but they've also listened to a lot of customers and still incorporated some hard buttons and some shortcuts. So if you check this out, the climate control, the important buttons for dual zone automatic climate control, fan speed, position, defrost, and front defrost, these are all physical buttons, which I really, really appreciate. We also still have stocks. Now, if I recall, Tesla's gone back to stocks on the new Juniper Model Y, but it's great that they've incorporated stocks on this car as well for both gear selector, turn signals, and wipers. These are all physical stocks. We also have hard buttons on the steering wheel for heated steering wheel, for some cruise control, which we'll talk about in a second. And then the seat controls have moved to the door, and we're going to find heated seats for both back and butt, as well as ventilated seats. Okay, that's on par with Tesla, but how about that button right there? That right there is your button for your massage. So you've got lumbar, roll, you can change the intensity, you can change where it's massaging. That's pretty cool. That's something Tesla doesn't offer when you consider the price point. Once again, pretty competitive. Let's go ahead and open up that large panoramic shade. Push and hold that button, and I'm going to let it take care of the rest. That's going to slide on back. Pretty cool stuff. And while we're up here, we can also talk about this, by the way, having the ability to close up a panoramic sunroof with the push of a button. Nobody talks about this on YouTube reviews, but being able to just stop that UV radiation from warming up your cabin on a hot day is really nice. AKG sound system with Dolby Atmos surround. It's actually spatial audio, so rather than just playing music all around you, when you're listening to a Dolby Atmos equipped song, they have something called spatial audio where they can engage different zones in the car for different channels of the audio. So maybe you have the piano over here and the drums over here, and you've got your Billie Eilish coming from that left rear speaker, whatever it may be. So really advanced technology. I think that it's cool. They're really pushing it on this program. We just did the whole Dolby Atmos experience before coming out here to drive the car, and it's neat in a studio environment, but it's pretty subtle and it's still pretty limited on how you can access it, what music you can access. I can't, like if I were to look up Rocket Man on Spotify, that's not going to be Dolby Atmos, but then if I go into Apple Music, do Rocket Man Dolby Atmos, then I can find the version, and yeah, it's better, but I'm not sure it's that much better, that much of a game changer as Cadillac will have you believe, but it does still sound very good. And now let's talk about driver assistance, because that is an area that Tesla has been leading, especially with their full self-driving systems. Now, Tesla charges you, I think it's $8,000 for a Model Y to come equipped with FSD. Our Optic here, comes standard with Super Cruise. I keep pointing up here because this is what illuminates when the Super Cruise is active. Super Cruise is a full hands-off system, just like FSD. It only works on pre-mapped highways, unlike FSD Beta, which will work on back streets and cities and that kind of thing. However, it works when it's supposed to work, and it works well. I've experienced FSD, and I find that with just the vision capability that Tesla's incorporated, it gets pretty sketchy. It works really well until it doesn't, and then it can get very scary. Whereas Super Cruise doesn't have the same width of bandwidth of what it can do. When it's active on the highway, I have far more confidence that it's going to work. I've never ever, in thousands of miles of super cruising, have never had an incident that alarms me. Whereas within a couple hundred miles of FSDing, there's been a few where I'm like, what the heck are you doing? And that's because FSD is all vision based. So that's great. That comes standard on Optic, especially for the price point. Now the tech in here, this is a full 33-inch screen. It is Google based, so you can see that we're navigating to our lunch spot here, and we are using a Google Maps essentially. It's got traffic based, information, so you know what to expect coming forward. That's all pretty good. And it can also tell us, let me go back to that. Oh boy, that was a catastrophic mistake I've made here. Do you know where we're going, Cole? Do you remember what it was called? Anyway, I'm just going to show you. So you can see that it integrates with the vehicle. So I can see 66% on arrival, 54% on return, if that's where I want it to end up. But what about route planning with integrated charging information? If I navigate back to Boulder, Colorado, will the car be able to tell me when and where to stop and charge? So it's loading the route. It says multiple charges needed. It's currently finding charging stops. That's good. Okay. Look at this. Very impressive. So it has integrated route planning. So you can see we're going to stop in Auburn and Truckee for 32 minutes and 23 minutes at Elko. So that's great. So once again, guys, while we've all been sleeping on Cadillac and GM, they've been making moves in this space. I think that's really cool. We also, if you don't want to get your screen all fingerprinty, you can go through the screen using this little iDrive-like toggle. And something else I want to show you, we can turn the car off like that. I'm going to go to the home screens. I'm going to go into my drive modes. We also have the ability to turn one pedal not only on and off, but we can set the level from off, normal, and then high. And there's also a paddle over here on the left side of the steering wheel that you can use to get more regen capability out of the car. Seats feel very comfortable, pretty supportive. The visibility, windshield's a little squatty for my liking. I'd like to see this a little taller, but good seat overall. I think that this is a pretty comfortable place to be. And the door handles are really unique. You pull up on this little stainless steel triangle, and that's going to pop the door open. Let's check out the rear seat, see if this is a usable place to spend time. So driving position, just over 6 feet tall, completely flat floor that we can see down here. Okay, all right, Cadillac, not too bad. Headroom, a little compromised. That's going to be a miss for me. 6 feet tall, definitely running into some headroom constraints. Legroom, however, is quite adequate. This is a 5-seat configuration, middle seat, yeah, not too bad. And then I do want to give them props for rear AC vents, as well as heated rear seats with passenger controls in the back. And then we also have integrated power outlet back here with a couple of USB-C ports. All of this is good. And then once again, that AKG audio system does expand into the rear portion of the car as well. So pretty decent space back here, pretty comfortable place to spend time. And then let's go ahead and check out the trunk. So we're going to find kind of an interesting little lip spoiler back here, and then to get into the trunk, you actually push in on that Cadillac emblem, and then that's going to glide on open, and we're going to find 26 cubic feet worth of space with the seats folded up. And then if I pull this little lever, I can fold those down. It is going to be a flat load floor, which is great, albeit at a slight angle. And then this is going to have 57 cubic feet worth of space with the seats folded down. And then if we check out the integrated cable that is included with the Cadillac, something that Tesla doesn't offer anymore, it is going to be both 120 volt and 240 volt capable out of the box. So you don't even have to go out and buy a charger. You can just use the one that's included. Now this isn't a 19 kilowatt charger. This is, how many amps is this bad boy? 12 amps or 30 amps on NEMA 1450. So what's that? 6.7, 7 kilowatts, something like that. But it is nice that Cadillac does give you that option to charge with included hardware. And then if we open up the space underneath the floor, we've got a deep cubby, which is good. And then no spare tire, a little bit of a miss, but we do have our little tow eye there. So let's wrap this thing up. Guys, I was not expecting to be this impressed with what Cadillac has been up to. I do want to check out the front trunk situation, see what we got going on underneath here. Oh, first big miss. No front trunk. That is definitely a bummer, similar to what we're going to find in the Equinox EV. But with GM's, commitment and now integration with Tesla superchargers, you do have the benefit of being able to charge at some Tesla superchargers, which is huge. It's a big deal. And the car in general feels like a well-made, put-together object that offers good technology, a good feature set, an interesting design for not as much as you'd expect. So starting price on the Optic with 3 years of included, wow, what's that thing called? The driving thing called? Super Cruise, thank you. So 3 years included Super Cruise from standard. It starts at about $54,000. Now, fully loaded like this one, we're gonna be looking at $60,000, right? Which on paper is way more than a Model Y. But keep in mind, really because Super Cruise is included, you have to be cross-shopping this with Model Ys that have the FSD system. And when you're talking about that, you're already talking about a vehicle that's well into the high $50,000 range. So comparably, they're really not that far off. 302 miles of range. The DC charging is definitely a miss. If you're planning on road tripping, I would look elsewhere, but for regular use, I think that this Optic is going to be more than capable. Good interior, good storage space, and then some features like massage that you can't get on the Tesla. I think this is a really, really good alternative. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments section below about this new Cadillac Optic. As always, this has been Tommy, behind the camera Cole, and we'll see you guys next time.